to show you this love is no secret, and I don't wanna keep it locked up in my heart. I need you to turn me inside, upside down, backwards, forwards, turned around. Take this back here and now, fill me up and pull me out. I want to feel safe within without a doubt. So turn me inside out. When I get distracted, worn out and disconnected, so far from perfection, point me in your direction. Make this fire burn inside. Only you can turn me inside, upside down, backwards, forwards, turned around. Take this back here and now, fill me up and pull me out. I want to feel safe within without a doubt. So turn me inside out. Let me feel the change. Lay your fire down like rain. I want your love to turn me inside out. Turn me inside, turn me
Hi everyone, I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day and are ready for today's lesson. Today's lesson is from Luke chapter 14 verses 25 to 35, and we'll be talking about the cost of following Jesus. So in our last lessons, we talked about Jesus healing people, and we also talked about the times Jesus taught people. And because of what Jesus was doing and because of who he is, there were many people who wanted to follow him and wanted to believe in him. And because of that, there were crowds of people who went wherever Jesus went. But in today's story, Jesus turned to the crowd and told them what the cost of following him is. And by following him, we're talking about truly trusting in him and believing in him. So what is the cost of following Jesus? Well, Jesus said that anyone who wants to follow him must be willing to give up everything. And he or she must love Jesus more or most of all. So this is more than your family, more than your friends, even more than yourself. Well, this sounds hard, but Jesus also said that anyone who thinks life should be easy cannot follow him. So why was Jesus telling these people and telling us this, the cost of following him? Jesus wanted to tell them and us the cost of following him so that they can know and prepare before they choose to truly follow him. To explain his what he was talking about more, Jesus told two stories. So in the first story, Jesus talked about building a tower. So if someone was to build a tower, they should first sit down and plan what the tower will be like to know what the cost of building it will be, and to make sure that that person has enough to build the tower. So if this person doesn't do this before building the tower, when they go to build it, they will, and if they don't have enough, they will start building the tower, but they will have to stop before the tower is complete. In the second story, Jesus talked about a king, and the king was in a battle with a different king. Before the king goes to battle, the king should sit down and plan and see the cost of going to battle. He should see if his army and him are big enough and strong enough to win the battle. And if he sees that they are not strong enough to go and win, then he would go and send some of his people to the other kings so that they can make peace before the fighting begins. In both stories, Jesus was telling us to think about the cost before acting. Just as the person building the tower had to think about how the tower was going to be built and if he had enough materials to build it before he was building it, and how the king was planning and thinking about if his army was strong enough and big enough to win the battle before going to battle. Jesus wanted us to know what the cost of following him is before we actually follow him. And this is because it won't be an easy thing to do. But even though it is something that will not be easy, by following Jesus, by believing in him and trusting in him, we can have true life. And to be honest, Jesus, he is worth it. I hope that you guys learn something from today's story, whether it is the cost of following Jesus or just remembering the story as you go on throughout this week. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!